together, everything that we wanted to do or we thought philosophically, we wanted to do more about it, travel to these places, share more thoughts about it, and we have had discussions. Not always we were agreeing to each other, but of course, we were always opening each other's, I think, those boxes so that we could, conspire more into this subject of the feminine. Of course, Nilima's subject has always been Shiva, and Shiva dragged the Durga in, and that's how she was drawn to the feminine. And Anamika, of course, I think I should not just speak so carelessly. I will speak very, I've written some stuff. So I think I shall speak like that because otherwise I may just lose some points. But one thing is for sure that all of us have had deep respect for each other's thoughts, and we wanted to do something more, and the catalyst was the publisher. He's right here. He came up with an idea that you five are mostly traveling and doing things together. So why don't you come up with a book? It was through Stella. And Stella was our first editor for the first book that we came up with, Experiencing the Goddesses. And after that, this is the second in the series that we have. And I think he wants to do 5. I'm not too sure, but so yeah. With extreme pleasure, I introduce to the audience the women behind the book, from the ancient texts to the contemporary practices. My friends, our authors, we weave a rich and complex tapestry that explores the multifaceted dimensions of the divine feminine. And I think that has been the rooted subject which has moved us all. Anamika Roy's scholarly investigation into Radha's evolution. This is about the book I'm talking. She's done much more than Radha. Into Radha's evolution and Nilima's exploration of Durga's creation, myths invite us to contemplate the profound distinctions between creation and birth. Stella's global odysseys unveil the diverse cultural lenses through which humanity perceives life, rituals, death, rebirth, while Janet's intimate exploration of Indian birthing rituals highlight the enduring wisdom of traditions. Together, their work illuminates the enduring power of the feminine archetype from its mythological origins to its contemporary manifestations. Our collective odyssey is shared to unveil the divine feminine within. I think that has been the main purpose of our writing together. How we experience it is not only the traditional or the scriptural way of looking at the feminine, but how we see the feminine dancing around us all the time. You know, there is a rhythm which is constantly pulsating around us, how we feel, each one feels it in a different way. Anamika feels it in a different way, Nilima would feel in a different space, I feel it completely in a different way. But somewhere we all, put it together, and that's what it is. Stella, an indefatigable explorer, meticulously documents and investigates her path, her enthusiasm often propelling her to extraordinary lengths, such as clearing the obstructed roads or venturing on foot when vehicular access is impossible. So Stella has traveled with us to the interiors of Jharkhand, Orissa, and various other places, never complaining about the food because she had her Coke and peanuts all the time ready. And there was just, we would be having problems that, oh, this food is not hygienic, this is not good, that. But she had no problem, and she was raring to go ahead into the interiors where there was no road. Actually, she would get out of the car and clear the road for the drivers, that, okay, now we can go further, you know. And making conversation, Janet was there trying to make conversation in whichever way she could. And both these ladies, mind you, they were not born in India, but I think they're more Indian than most of us. There are times when we would ask them that, what about this temple there? Did you visit? And Stella would most probably be coming, yes, I put the video on YouTube or Vimeo, here, you take it, and all the information would be there. So that's what we were actually trying to document, how we perceive these spaces of vortex, how we perceive these spaces of energy, what it means to a contemporary person, how it relates, how do these places become living spaces? Because they are, after all, thousands of years old. But how are they still relating to us? And how does the feminine, which we think that it is almost vanished, the invocation of the feminine as we see the world today, but how it is still very much there, rooted in the rooted spaces of India. Nilima Chitgopekar possesses the remarkable ability to visually manifest the sites she studies. You have to really listen to her to believe it, because she's almost brings those sites to you, whether she's visited those sites or not, but they will be there in front of you with a visual kind of an explanation, conveying her insights and interpretations with captivating clarity. Her passion for work is palpable during her lectures. She has authored 6 books on anything related to Shiva, her Ishta, am I right? Who brought her to Durga and everything in between. Anamika Roy is an ardent traveler, her spirit equally attuned to the call of explorations. Her hold on ancient Indian texts has allowed her to have a unique perspective of Indian culture. Her book on Chauset Yogini is a handbook. I think everyone must be, even when I didn't know Anamika, I had the book with me to understand, about the yoginis. A must read for anyone who's interested in the subject of the feminine and the yogini culture. Janet Chawla is a luminary in the realm of natural childbirth and indigenous reproductive health. She is dedicated to preserving and promoting the ancient wisdom of midwifery and birthing traditions. She also has traveled into the interiors of Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, you name the place, and she has been to the interiors working with the midwives, the shamans, and the lowest level where the midwives would be working. And she has traveled on her own with her friends, and sometimes I've had the privilege to travel with her. A leading voice in advocating the indigenous reproductive health on both national and international platforms, her contribution encompasses scholarly works, captivating lectures, curated volumes, a thought-provoking play, and a poignant documentary. I think we must all see it to understand what childbirth at home means. Born at Home, which offers a profound exploration of childbirth in rural India. Her latest book, Towards a Female Shastra, Birth and Birth Givers, The Power Behind Shame. These are 2 books that she has written in the past few years. They are research-based, which is related, I think, not only to childbirth, but they are like classics in their own right. They should be read by anyone who is interested in the living tradition of childbirth and seeing it going beyond and how they were related to our religion, our customs, our traditions, and how they moved to become all these practices, they moved to become, our, I think, bloodline. We never realize that how these traditions move into our lives and just become the tradition that we call, but they are living. They're very much there in these people. Now, is Kishwar there? Yes. Now I would like to invite Kishwar, and now I will also invite the authors to be here on the podium. And I would like to say a few words on Kishwar. She's a multi-talented individual with distinguished careers spanning journalism, television, authorship, and historical preservation. And that's where I think she has really broken all the rules as far as historical preservation is concerned. She's renowned for award-winning books on Indian cinema and history, including the President's Award-winning The Longest Case, The Life and Times of Devika Rani. I think I knew about this actress, but it was such a privilege to know more about her, how we easily forget these people who have, and especially women, who have actually started something so many years, a century back, right? Desai is also driving force behind the Partition Museum in Amritsar and in Delhi, is a significant project dedicated to preserving the memory of India's partition. Her work has been widely recognized and acclaimed both in India and UK, which is very important for the, I think, the people who came from across the borders, whichever borders they were. And it is such a nice thing to see how Kishwar has brought in various communities together. It is not only the partition of Punjab, Bengal, the Sindh, and I think they're making it larger and larger. Thank you, Kishwar, for that. And Manju is also here, I think Manju Kapoor. Yeah, she's here. She's a renowned Indian author and academic. As a professor of literature at the Delhi University, she brings a keen intellect to her exploration of women's lives in India. Her novels, such as Difficult Daughters, The Age of Innocence, The Gallery, which I really loved reading, offer poignant insights into the complexities of family, societal hierarchies, and expectations, class and caste, and the status of women in it, and the challenges which are faced by the woman in her rapidly evolving world. I think she's one of those authors who has expressed all these, they may be somewhere repetitive, but I think it is very important her writing is very important in today's time, where all these class, caste, and the expectations of women, in spite of their being educated and everything, what is expected out of them is totally unresolved. It is totally unresolved. Now I would like to talk about Alison, and I would request everyone to come along up to the podium. Please, Manju, you also come and let's... Anamika, please. Yeah, she is instrumental in fostering stronger UK-Indian ties through education, arts, and English language. Her expertise and commitment to building connections have earned her recognition, including an MBE, and her contributions to English language teaching in India is exceptional. She has been, I think, traveling to India for over 40 years, 30 years, 25 years. And I would invite you to come and say a few words.
Thank you so much. It's It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, Seema.
I'm Anamika. Hi, Nilima.
So it's a real pleasure for me to be here amongst such an illustrious group of incredible women. Some of whom I've had the pleasure to meet and get to know over the last few years, and some of whom I hope I'll get to know this evening and moving forwards. For me, Delhi is a really special place. It's my birthplace. Not where I was born, but where I became a mother. I had my son and my daughter in Delhi 17 and 21 years ago. And so it's a very special place for me. But it's also a place that's very special for them, and I think there's a connection with the work that you do, Seema. I just wanted to recount a couple of little stories. So my children have always been a bit confused. Born in Delhi, lived in Delhi most of their lives. They then spent 3 years in Chennai, then back to Delhi, then to Dubai, then to Thailand, then back to Delhi. So they've always asked me, where am I from, Mum? Where am I really from? And it's a really difficult question to answer. And it really is up to them to really answer that question for themselves. And there was one time when my son, when he was young, he had very big, curly, blonde hair, and he was at a big event, and the lady on the stage pointed him out and said, you know, where are you from? And he said, England. and then they said, oh, amazing, what city are you from? And he said, Delhi. So I think that story just reminds me of how many multiple truths and multiple realities that we can all have, and all of them are true. They are both from England, they are both from Delhi, and that's something that they hold very dear to themselves. And I think it connects very much with your work, Seema, and the work in this book, which is all about understanding multiple realities, multiple truths. I think you say putting a mirror up and letting the audience figure out for themselves what the art that you produce, what it means to them. The creativity, that understanding, that comes through your own understanding, your own perception, your own thoughts that you bring to the work that is inspired and stimulated by others. I've been very lucky to know Seema for a couple of years now, and I'm really delighted to be here this evening. The work that she does is incredibly all-encompassing. Performance art, literature, poetry, sculpture. You probably sing as well, right?
Must be. Please,
She probably sings as well. And so we're really in for a treat this evening. And this is so important to the work that we do at the British Council. It's all about how art and culture can stimulate understanding, cross-cultural connections, can build new realities, new meaning, new choices, ultimately choices that we make us who we are. And art and culture can help us find new pathways, new understandings, new ways forward. And I'm really delighted to be here this evening. I'm really delighted to hear and listen to the discussion that you're going to have this evening. I've really enjoyed the book, and you're all will really enjoy it too. I hope you take it away and read it and pore over it as I have done. Congratulations to all of you for such an incredible piece of work, and may you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alison, for such wonderful words. So may we start with the discussion, or the Manju and Kishwa, you can. We have a question hour, like anyone has in the audience can have.
Book release, yeah.
Oh yes, book release, that's why we are here. We are going to show the book. Yes, we will release the book. And oh, we have to do the book release now.
Yes.
Where is the publisher? Sanjukta, can you?
Where is the publisher? The publisher is missing.
Please come.
book कम है ये तो मेरी है चलो मैं
अच्छा दिया अभी तो ये
oh there is this विकास एक है वहाँ पे for publishing Please, you're the middle. Closer? Okay.
थोड़ा क्लोज हो जाएंगे तो
Close. Quick group Unless I...
Thank you. I would like to present a small gift.
Oh, right now?
Somebody will come.
Should we put them on the table?
Yes, you can.
Thank you, Seema. Seema, leave it there now and take it as a gift.
Yeah. I thought that it looked nice on the table.
On the table. You want to on the
Thank
table?
you so much.
Okay. The view? Okay.
Mine will come.
They're all going in the
That's why I thought.
Thank you. They are beautiful.
One for me is going to look.
Yeah, the visual effects, yeah.
Yes. Please.
Fascinating illustrations by all the authors. It's also very, very learned. In fact, I was alarmed when I got this. But yes, so we're going to unpack a bit of that today. So Anamika, we thought we'd start with you. And while I was reading your essay, I had no idea that the figure of Radha had such diverse origins. Can you all hear me?
Where is my...
Okay, great. You examine her as a gopi, an ordinary cowherd, and then you look at her as a goddess. You describe how these two elements, the divine and the mortal, meet in the Geet Govinda. I wonder where the erotic, or if not the erotic, the yearning and the desire for Krishna that is usually associated with Radha, where does this fit into all of this? Mortal, divine, goddess.
Yeah.
Where does this fit in?
Shall I answer now?
Please.
Thank you, Dr. Manjuji.
I'm not a doctor.
Never mind, for me, all academicians are doctors. Thank you, Manjuji. The thing is that Radha is the most enigmatic female character of entire religious map of India. Radha is very mysterious, and for the first time, a common woman, a cowherd woman or gopi, she was elevated to the position of a goddess. That's why I say Radha was not born, Radha was created. And who created Radha? There are two parallel lines, like you asked. One is of literature, other one is of religion. There are two Radhas. One Radha is of literature. It starts with Gatha Saptashati, goes on up to Geet Govindam, there's Veni Sanghar, there's Dashakumara Charitam. In all the Sanskrit texts, Radha is there, but peak is there in the Geet Govindam. And at the same time, Puranas were being written from 5th century CE onwards. In all the Puranas, the Ras is there, Krishna is there, but Radha is a female deity. She is not an ordinary cowherd woman or gopi who is roaming with Krishna only. So, was Jayadev, who emerged in 12th century CE, was he aware of the Radha Puranas? And we find the shades of Geet Govindam on one of the Puranas, that is Brahmavaivarta Puranam. So, and there is a theory that first Radha was created in literature and then she was picked up in religion. Why? Because each and every god needs a female consort, a Shakti. Krishna also needed a Shakti. Rukmani could not become his Shakti, Satyabhama could not become his Shakti. Who became his Shakti? It is Radha, who was not even married to him. So for the first time, there is a goddess who was not even married to the god. She became the Shakti of that god. And in all the Puranas, especially in the Narad Purana, it is full of tantricism, full of tantric hymns, and Radha she is invoked like Durga. So, in my opinion, and Jayadev was fully aware. Jayadev himself, he was a Shakti worshipper, but he created Radha from the hands of Krishna. And just imagine, Manjuji, this is the greatest thinker of Indian philosophy, that is Krishna. And there's a common cowherd woman, and in the Gita Govinda, what Radha says to Krishna, Yahi Madhav, Yahi Keshav, oh Krishna, go away. Oh Radha, go away. You don't even deserve to be the altar of my foot. So just imagine that woman. Just imagine who can reject, who can ridicule the greatest thinker of Indian philosophy. So that is Radha of literature, and there's Radha of religion, who is Mahalakshmi was born out of Radha and who was invoked like Durga. There's Sahasra Yugal Radha in Radha and Krishna hymns in Narada Purana, and in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana there's an episode of Radha marrying Krishna in Vrindavan. Okay. So this is the enigma of Radha. Yeah. And to know Radha, you have to become Radha. Unless and until it's not easy to know Radha.
Well, Kishore, you want to?
No, I think we'll move on to you, and possibly, because then we'll come back for another round, because I think, as we were saying earlier, there will be commonalities, there'll also be peculiarities, there'll be differences in your approach, and even in the way that you have approached a particular goddess, or I realized that there are two sets of them. One is a spouse and one is a Devi when I was reading this, because I'm not an academic, so I was coming to it purely as a novice, somebody who just is really fascinated by this topic, especially today, because when I was reading your essay on Durga and Kali, and I realized all this, what is happening today is happening in Calcutta, yes. The city of Kali. I mean, look at what Kali can do. She can dismember people, she can chew them up, she can kill the Asura, aren't people frightened, I mean, they should be frightened out of their wits, because that is her persona, and that is what she was meant to do, and that's why Durga was also created. And I was also very fascinated by your description, and I'm sure this years and years of research have obviously gone into this, but may I just read a couple of lines, because there is a much more, very detailed description of how the male gods created Durga, and I thought that is so amazing. Can you imagine a bunch of men getting together today and putting a woman who's really a weapon of settling the world right? That is what should be happening in today's world. It is not, alas, but these gods all got together, all the male gods in that time. So they created this woman, which you say was like a mountain blazing excessively, pervading all the quarters with its flames. That unique light became a female form. From Shiva's light energy, her face was formed. Wow. From Yama, her hair. From Vishnu, her arms. From Chanda, her two breasts. From Indra, her waist. From Varuna, the shanks and thighs, and by Bhuva, that is the earth, her hips. Brahma gave her feet, Surya toes, and the Vasus her fingers. From Prajapati came her teeth, and Agni her three eyes. This is Durga. Wow. The light of the two Sandhyas became her eyebrows, the light of Vayu her ears. And of course, there is much more about how they give her the weapons. I'll just read out a couple of, Shiva gave her a trident, Vishnu a discus, Varuna gave her a conch, Agni a spear, and Maruta gave a bow as well as two quivers full of arrows. Indra gave her a thunderbolt and a bell from his elephant Airvata. Now this is what they do to create this amazing goddess. So when you talk about birth, it isn't just always only from literary sources or someone's imagination is of course one part of the story, but to actually be so specific, who gave what? So what went behind this? Can you just tell us the circumstances under which they had to create a Durga? And I think those are the circumstances that we
are seeing today in front of us. We need another Durga and another Kali. Yes.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful reading, and I like the portions you took from my essay. What I'd like to say is that thank God men could get together at one time and create something wonderful, because mostly they're fighting with each other and not doing anything useful. Sorry for all the men who are here, but here we find in the celestial world all the male gods getting together and creating Durga. But I do have a little bit of problem with that, because we find images of Durga in stone, in sculpture, in terracotta, way before we find her represented in the scriptural tradition, which is called the Brahminical tradition, the Sanskritic tradition. That came very late, circa 5th, 6th century. We find her in one of the major Purans, Markandeya Puran. We have it inserted, the Devi Mahatmya, which is the scripture from which I've taken most of my essay. And we find that it had to be inserted because she had to be given authenticity in the Brahminical world. And otherwise we're just seeing these terracotta plaques, we're seeing these images of a female who is grappling with a buffalo, and he's not even properly demonized, he's a proper buffalo. It's not like a male is coming out, because he's a shape-shifting demon eventually, this Mahishasurmardini. But we find that in the earliest images, it's just a buffalo. And I could imagine maybe at one point of time there were women wrestlers so to say, who were dealing with the menace of the buffaloes in the agricultural fields. Maybe there was something like that going back into what Marxists like to talk about. They like to give a kind of, some kind of sensibility to everything. But only by 5th, 6th century, when the Brahminical population would have realized how important this goddess is to the people, and when they themselves had come from the areas of the Rigvedic, the Sapta Sindhava, the area of Punjab, moved into Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Jharkhand, then they encountered this goddess. And it's wonderful that the mythographers sat together probably in some form and wrote out the Devi Mahatmya. This is what we feel. Because we don't only find her being called Durga or being called Kali, we find a plethora of goddesses which were indigenous goddesses brought into the Sanskritic fold, being given legitimization, being given authenticity by being put over here. That's what I feel. So it's important to show that yes, there's this powerful goddess, but who has created her? The males have created her. She's so that is a bit of I'm fine with it, because even when you read the Devi Mahatmya, she's quaffing wine, she's quaffing blood. People don't like to talk about that. She's exulting in war. She's not ashamed of loving warfare. It's not just something as simple as good over evil, okay? It is much more than that. We see womanhood in its rawest form, in a form which is associated with virya, that is virility of men. No, this virya is also very much a characteristic of the female, but in the goddess form. And this is a conundrum which I will not go into detail too much, but there is this constant problem which from time immemorial feminist scholars and scholars all over the world have talked about. How is it that you can respect the goddess in the female form so much in India and disrespect women in their human form? So the men, when they have been asked this question time and again, they say, no, but she's a goddess. She's a human. What is she? She's not a goddess. So it's very difficult for them to correlate. And yet, if somebody were to tell me, take away the mother goddess, or even just the goddess tradition from India, from Hinduism, I think we'd be bereft. Because thank God we have this wonderful imagery. Whether it's working or not, that's questionable. Thank you.
Goddess.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope I answered you.
Yeah, you did. And over to... Sorry?
It's certainly working. You have 5 goddesses.
Right. So I think your turn again, Manju.
Yeah, so I have a question for Seema. Seema, your work brings together so many different things. You combine the visual, the divine, inspiration, the womb, birthing, all into glorious depiction in your art. In your essay, you show how your own work vis-a-vis the goddess or the life-giving figure is part of a very long iconographic tradition. Do you see yourself, since you are an artist, as unique or as part of this tradition? I mean, are you carrying on or breaking off? What exactly are you doing?
What I am doing is what is very instinctive, or what sort of my paper or my canvas tells me, honestly. I'll be very honest about it. So many times I don't know why I'm doing what. I'll be very open about it. And the whole thing is the convictions go back, the conscious, subconscious, subliminal levels, everything sort of is so mixed up. It is only at the time when I'm sitting on my canvas, it sort of comes out, it opens up. And it is mostly the fact that what the canvas or what my subliminal mind is talking about. And of course, I think the imagery is very close to what I am as a person, how I look physically, because that's probably the closest form I'm closest, I relate to on an image. What I'm carrying forward is not from one tradition. What I'm carrying forward is what is totally imbibed in me, what I see around me, and what is the nectar or the fragrance. I think artists are merely a fragrance of the happenings of the society they see around. And of course, I'm extremely positive and I like to see beauty in everything. So even I think the most ferocious and the forms, I would see them with a lot of beauty. That is the only thing I think I have to say about it. But I'm not particularly carrying forward any one tradition, because that form is supplemented by so many different other traditions that have been a part of my growing up. So it comes out together. So it comes out as a completely new form without any, I don't think they are, in any way activated by the traditional forms. They have a very new form, a very contemporary way of looking at the goddess. Like if you see this image over here, this is an image of Laldev, where she is seeing the moons within herself. There's a story about Laldev. Laldev was a Kashmiri Shaivite saint and actively prevalent even now in Kashmir. And she was talking about how she was she believed in the Kashmir Tantrism, and how she saw the moons and all the activity happening within her own body, how the woman's body relates to the outer, the universe. So this is a very simple story, but then it is also the dance of celebration of Matisse is there, the other tantric forms are there, so everything sort of conjoins together and makes a new storyline.
So can I ask you a question, a follow-up from that? Basically, when I was reading your essay, to just get back to the book very briefly, I felt that you were actually creating, creating your own kinds of interpretative goddesses, as you just said, your own rituals, your own way of looking at these goddesses. So this is, as you said, it's a break away from tradition, and I think that's what makes your essay very different from your essays, because yours are very rooted in what has been the traditional form. No, I wouldn't say traditional, because obviously you've looked at new things as well, breakaways and things like that, but hers is a completely new interpretation of the way she sees, for example, even the Hiranyagarbha. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about Martanda and, because these are, and especially the womb, which is so big in most of your paintings. I mean, I don't mean big, actually big, but it is something which is, and somehow that is so fascinating for us, because very few paintings exist of pregnant women, and this is the first time I actually came across in your painting of a pregnant woman, one of the paintings in the book, and also, women giving birth, which is some of the sculptures which you have
Yeah.
all included. So I think that is something, as you said, the feminine makes it all sound, when you say feminine, divine, it all sounds very delicate and, very sort of beautiful. But this is raw.
Yeah,
this is
raw.
like
This
really
is like-
raw and sometimes can be quite bloody, I think.
Yes,
But
it is violent. Birth is violent.
Birth is violent.
This is the
Would you
first
like to,
violence.
Yeah, tell us about why you're so fascinated with the womb and the...
The story goes long, but yes, it's okay if you have time. Yeah, there's a very simple verse, Om Hiranyagarbha Samavartatagre Bhutasya Jata Patirek Asit Sadadhar Prithvim Dyamutema Kasmai Devaya Havisha Vidhema. This is a mantra which I grew up with, like during the homam. My family is an Arya Samaji, which was very predominant in Punjab, and this was a mantra which is like there in all the homams done at home. And it never bothered me till the time I was attending my mother's 40th day Havan, and the priest started explaining this mantra. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful that it has taken me a lifetime. My mother has gone 38 years now, 28 years, I don't know. And it has stayed with me as very fresh, because when he explained that there is a garb which is overflowing, constantly overflowing with life. There is no death. And this engulfs the whole universe, and many universes, many stars, many moons and suns breathing it. And this garb is golden. They're talking about sun. I kept it at that. I started painting right then and there after attending the Havan. And I came home and I started painting, and I did one painting. After that, numerous followed, and I started to read more and more. And then I came upon Garbha Puran. In that, it was that they were talking about Surya, and Surya, as we see, is a male god. We don't see it as a feminine energy. And there again, the moment I started to explore more, they're talking about Surya having garb. Again, it is a form of Ardhanarishwar. Again, it is a form of a concentrated, celebrated energy which is neither male nor female. It is genderless. At the same time, having both the genders within it. It was, I think, the most amazing experience that I've had. And I wanted to explore more and more. The more I explore, I found that this is the only energy which is driving us all. Whether we call it Hiranyagarbha, we give it a scientific name, we give it a very contemporary name, we do not give it a contemporary name, but this is the energy which is constantly, where there is no death, there's this space which is happening, which is constantly moving, and it is a cyclic motion. It is just going on and on, creating, destroying, creating again. So there is, and then I came across this other form of Surya, which is Martanda. So this space, as I understand, of creation, destruction, creation, Anulom, Vilom, Anulom, Vilom, we are breathing in, we are breathing out, we are breathing in. There is a constant Martanda and Hiranyagarbha. There is a constant dance of this energy which is constantly happening within us. We can see it around us, we can feel it around us. The moment you just open yourself to it, just open your eyes and you can feel it. Actually in your pores, that it is happening. This death and life is happening right there in your body. Things around you, these plants which are right here, in you and me. And that's what fascinates me. It takes the life out of me and gives me life. I just want to go on painting again and again. Whatever I see, I feel so happy. I say, oh God, this is again. Anything which is dying, and then suddenly, which we call dying, we were taught living and non-living things. But then I realize there's nothing which is non-living. Everything is living. Everything which is touched by the goddess, because She is the one who is manifested the first. She manifested the gods because she manifested the universe. If she manifested the universe, according to me, I see her as the manifester. And if she manifested the universe, the gods were born out of her. And there is a very beautiful verse in Guru Granth Sahib, Ekam Ai Jagat Ve Ai, Tin Chele Parwan, Ik Sansari, Ik Pandari, Ik Laye Diwan, Ove Kheo Nadarna Ai Bohtai Ovadan. That there was only one goddess who married the universe and gave birth to all the gods. Ek Sansari, Ek Pandari, Ek Laye Diwan. Diwan is Shiva. Bhandari is the one who controls the Bhandars, Vishnu and Brahma. The Sansari, the one who gives birth to the universe. But he also has been born by the goddess. So this is my life. And that's why I'm so fascinated. I just look at anything and I say, oh God, this is again this is happening,
Wow,
it's pulsating all the time,
great.
that rhythm.
Yeah. I think that excitement comes through
Yes,
totally
it does.
in your writing, and
Yeah.
it's very fluid. And I love the fact that you're even making up rituals.
Yes, I do my own rituals. I was taught by my teacher, my master of Tantra, that the rituals which are followed are not yours.
Oh,
Rituals have to be ones which are created by you, yourself. You can learn scriptures, but the feeling of ritual, how do you know what is a ritual which will connect with you? We are daily creating rituals, but we don't want to call them ritual, having a bed tea, having a 4 o'clock tea. It's a ritual. But when we get into ritual of connecting with us, of meditating according to our own way and form of sitting, where our breath, we really feel. If somebody tells us, okay, you sit in this form and you put your spine erect and you start breathing, how long will you do it? 40 days? Okay, 40 days to ho gaye. Abhi tak to kuch hua nahi. So it has to connect with you. Maybe you don't have to sit on the floor, you have to sit on a chair. Maybe, like I love the ritual of lighting lamps. If you come to my house, there are lamps all over the house, because I love the manifestation of the goddess as fire. I just see that, okay, it's nothing, it's air, and suddenly there is fire in it. It's being manifested, pragat ho raha hai na, matlab har jagah, and then I feel very happy about the fact that we can feel it, and that's my ritual. How do I pray to the goddess every day? What all mantras I have to include in sort of bringing her to me, manifesting her to me. So
that's the ritual. Manju, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I just thought I'd ask Nilima, something you said in your talk I found so intriguing, that the difference between the way in which we treat women and the way in which we venerate the goddess. There's a dissonance there. And also, like here, we talk about the goddess who drinks blood, who drinks wine, and yet, so far as women are concerned, the menstrual blood is seen as polluted, even though it's a source of birth. And everywhere I go, in every temple in India, like in Varanasi, there is this half-submerged temple that says, because you can never really pray to, there'll always be something wrong in the way in which you pray to the goddess. It'll never be completely complete. And here we are, treating. So I find this very disturbing, a really disturbing element of our social fabric. I can't say religion but it's there also. And so this puts me off all kinds of stuff. So how do you reconcile? Is it possible to reconcile the two?
I would reconcile it by just saying it's all part of patriarchy. all the forms have been taken over and a lot of whitewashing has taken place. So if the goddess is seen drinking wine, I know I've read an article where there were one section of Indian Hindu society which got very mad at people who were saying that the goddess is seen drinking wine. How dare you say she drank wine? Of course she drank wine. They're showing some of the slides that and she exulted in war. She was putting her legs across, if you look at the Devi Mahatmya, even though it's in the Sanskrit text, so it's Brahmanized already, but you're seeing a form of a woman who is totally different from what we see today. Today you see her in the pandals. Look at the way Durga is depicted, completely dressed. You look at her in sculpture, she's nude. She has her legs astride, she's fighting away, she's got a look on her face, fierceness. Then they started saying around in the 10th, 12th century, no, even though she's impaling the Mahishasur, she should look calm. Her mien should be wonderful like this one over here. She should look beautiful. She should not look ferocious. But when you read the Devi Mahatmya, her grunting sound, grunt of satisfaction, is so much that the entire universe is reverberating. And all the asuras are getting very angry. How dare this woman grunt so loud? How dare she behave like this? And you see all kinds of things happening. The way it's also very humorous. The way when she's putting all her spears into this man, he's resembling a porcupine. Or just that they get so mad in their fervor, when she chops off their head and the drums are there, the cymbals are there, the noise is there, the conch is there, and even the headless guys are dancing. Once she's attacked, and this is all in the Devi Mahatmya. So I've read the Devi Mahatmya hundreds of times, and I find it very fascinating the way they can talk about women, female divinities, as being so excited about war. This is definitely belonging to the warrior class of people who want to see the women like that, who want to worship a woman like that. But yes, very big distinction between what a woman is and female is as a divinity and as a female here. But we can still take recourse to it. We can still read it and say, no, let's look at the scriptures and see exactly how she was portrayed. Let's not see what is being portrayed in 21st century, where she's completely sari clad and looking very demure. And I wrote that. The people are ululating. What do the sound that they make in Bengal? The Bengali women make, they're crying because she's having to leave her parents' home and going back to a wretched husband like Shiva, who's always drunk and hallucinating and having hallucinations and not working. So they're crying and making those crying sounds. But in reality, when you see in Devi Mahatmya, she's making all the asuras cry. They are saying, what are you doing? How can you kill us like this? How can you injure us like this? But we have changed it to suit the 20th, 21st, 19th century. We have even tried to mold the goddess to suit patriarchy as it would like to. I mean, they couldn't change it completely, but they changed it as much as they can.
They domesticated her.
They domesticated, they whitewashed her, they made her very, very calm compared to what she is depicted in a 5th century scripture, like the Devi Mahatmya. So I think it's important for us to bring it out. And when Seema was talking just now, what I think is really nice about this collection is that there are academics who are writing and looking at the scriptures one word like that. And then there's Seema who comes with this wider view of her, and how she creates this beautiful paintings, how well she's doing in her painting, how expensive her paintings are, and nobody can afford them. So there's that also. And then there's Stella, a foreigner, then Jan, a foreigner. So we all this mixed medley bunch of women. We managed to come up with something which our publisher seems to like. Like, we didn't go to him and tell us we want to write. No, the first book is doing very well, you have to write the second. Even the first book is doing very well because the second book is doing so well. So,
we are already planning the third, actually. We are already planning
it's a kind of chemistry that comes together in this very hardcore academic world and then the world of sensual. Yeah. She's a very sensual writer. I didn't mention that, the femininity as she sees as a creator, then as a destroyer. And she makes these huge murals which are there in the Supreme Court and all famous places, huge murals. So she has this large vision of the feminine. And yes, she does take a lot from our discussions, from what she sees in sculpture, because whatever we share with her, like if I'm sharing some ancient sculptures with her, Seema is fascinated. And it's all going into her head and
everything goes into my head.
Yeah, and she's creating. So
that is the Hiranyagarbha.
Yeah, I think that is what is happening between the 5 of us, and I hope I'm not boring everyone.
No, it's fascinating. I wonder if there's a pushback from, maybe more purist people saying, no, this is not possible, or this is wrong, or this is your misinterpretation.
Yeah, so I've written about 9 books now, and the latest one is called Shakti. It's a 200,000 word book. And I have said whatever I wanted to say, but because things are footnoted, because they're all substantiated by facts from the scriptures, nobody has questioned. To this day, I have been very bold in my writings. Nobody has questioned, no pushback. No pushback at all. Many people, I remember the Penguin publisher said that your house is going to be burnt down. Look at what you're saying about Parvati. Nothing happened. So far my house is not burnt. So it's all okay. You have to be able to substantiate. And I think to a certain extent, I hate to say this, but being a Hindu by birth and by being an Indian has also helped me. Because Wendy Doniger and many people like her have said quite a few useful things, but she has been lambasted and completely taken out of this whole realm. Nobody wants to read her in India. Her books are banned. And the same goes for Paul Courtwright, who wrote on Ganesha. So that helps me. Being a woman, being an Indian, being an academic, being a born Hindu, it's all helped me.
Can I sort of quickly move on to a question on Radha now? Because I think when you talk about sensuality, I think Radha and Krishna, that is probably, I look at Ram and Sita and I see a pretty, a sort of, a nice, sweet relationship there. But my husband did point out one thing, that Sita was very much in control of her fertility because she did not give birth till they left, and even when she was in Lanka, she does not give birth. She only gives birth when she moves back to the palace. So she was very much in control, I would say, even of her birth and her death. So in that sense, Sita is a very unique woman, So despite all the patriarchy she had to face, she was still herself. But Radha is very much, I sometimes think, a male fantasy, Here she comes, beautiful, older lady, older woman, not dusky, gorgeous, etc., etc., and doesn't want anything from this guy. I mean, he's got 2 wives already or whatever, I don't know how many gopis and stuff. So, she doesn't need anything from him, but he's madly in love with her, and he's the one who constantly wants to be with her. So, and she loves him back, and obviously all of that is there in Geet Govind. But I was very intrigued because you also point out that in the earlier Purans and so on, because I always thought that was part of the Bhakti movement and, in the early part, but then you also say that this is Tantra, but she was also associated with Lakshmi, Saraswati, and Durga. These were also names that were given to her, is that correct?
In the Narad Puran,
yeah. Do tell us about that. I mean, how is the association?
Actually, the thing is that we think that Radha is portrayed very beautiful, but other than that, she was very fair in complexion. Nothing is much written about her beauty. She was fair, Krishna was dark.
Yeah.
So Radha was supposed to be beautiful or she was not supposed to be beautiful. It's only that she was fair, Krishna was dark. Krishna was supposed to be very handsome. Okay. Despite being his dark complexion, Krishna was supposed to be. Radha is called Gaurangi, and Gaurangi may be fair complexion, or there's a skin of banana. It is also called Gaurangi. So, but the thing is that this is the beauty of entire saga of Radha. How she was elevated in the Gita Govindam. The story is of only 2.5 days, and there are only 3 characters: Krishna, Radha, and Sakhi. No one is there. In the Gita Govindam, Yamuna is dark, Tamal tree is dark, there are clouds, and Krishna as a child is lost in that darkness. And he was crying. Nanda, his father is there. Then he just thinks, how can he take Krishna away to home? Then suddenly Radha appears, and in a beautiful young, not beautiful, a fair young woman against the darkness, against the darkness of Vrindavan. Nanda requests Radha, please take away this child who is crying to home. And Radha picks up Krishna and takes her home. This is Geet Govindam. And this is also taken as the dark side of the relation of Krishna and Radha. And this is the motherhood which we find in Geet Govindam, because Jayadev was basically a Shakta, he was not a Vaishnavite.
So
There's motherhood. The same episode is described in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, which is later than Gita Govindam. There's a difference. Same, everything is there, but Radha is a goddess there. Now see the difference. Here Radha is an ordinary woman, she picks up Krishna and takes her home. There, everything is there. The dark clouds are there, Tamal trees are there, Yamuna, dark Yamuna is there, dark Krishna is there, but Radha is a goddess there. She is not an ordinary woman.
And this predates the Geet Govindam.
No. There is a debate. There's a debate. This text predates, because the Gaudiya Vaishnava of Bengal, they don't mention Brahma Vaivarta Purana, but they do mention Geet Govindam. So this is the, and like you asked, the Saraswati, how Lakshmi, in the Narada Purana, Lakshmi is born out of Radha, Saraswati is born out of Radha, Mahalakshmi is born out of Radha, and Radha herself is born out of Krishna. But there's a difference. Here Krishna and Radha are not Ardhanarishwar like Shiva and Parvati. Because Shiva and Parvati, they supplement each other. Here Krishna and Radha, they complement each other. And nowhere Radha is shown as a subordinate to Krishna. Everywhere Radha is Radha. Just imagine, we were talking about Kali and Durga. Bengal is the stronghold of Shaktism. But just imagine, a Vaishnava, a Gaudiya Vaishnava saint named Chaitanya, he starts from where? From Bengal. Bengal, which was a stronghold of Shaktism, but he is a Vaishnava. He goes to Odisha, from Odisha he comes to Vrindavan, and in western UP, and Vrindavan was lost at that time. There was no Vrindavan. And it was Aurangzeb who donated Vrindavan to that mad Gaudiya Vaishnava Brahmin, and a new Gaudiya Radha was created there, and that Radha is still there in Vrindavan.
Amazing.
Everything is Radhe. Everything.
I think you can't straitjacket anything, like what Anamika is illustrating. There are thousands of trends and stories, and you have to just keep everything out.
Everything is Radhe. There's some quite a few Bengal widows there. Very poor widows, they do live there. So an American anthropologist was doing some research, and she asked those widows, you always chant Radhe Radhe, do you want to become like Radha? They said no. We are women, and above all we are widows. We are at much lower category, and Radha is our deity. How can we become like Radha? But they always
internalize that.
Yeah, can you imagine?
So they said no. So this is Radha of the Puranas. The tantric rituals are also associated with Radha. And there's Radha of literature, which is fascinated by all of us.
Yes, absolutely. Do you think we should throw it open to the audience? Should we throw this open to the audience, please? Yes, I know that. Meghnath, you were to ask the first question. Sorry. No. Please.
Mike Heather's where should be
fascinating discussion, and I think Anamika, you have opened a new door. I just want to share with you that I have worked on Krishna Yamala and Radha Tantra, and actually her real persona and Gita Govinda is dance the scene.
Actually, even Brahma Vaivarta Purana is also later than
So I think we need to really look into this, and we need to have a discourse on this, because I think it also ties up with what our dear Chitgopekar, Nilima has just.
I know, I love your name.
Nilima has spoken about, and also now what is interesting is that India has one of the greatest goddess traditions of the world,
And these are parallel movements, and these are currents, literally. Energy currents, as I see it, not just historical currents. And they merge and mingle, and then they part, and then they come again. And the crowning glory, of course, is not because I'm studying the Tantras, but it is the Tantras, because that in one way erases all these controversies, about a woman goddess. Because this whole equation, which is so unequal in Brahmanical tradition, comes together really in the Tantras, Agamas. So we are into 15th, 16th, 17th centuries. And of course, one can't say that Tantra was a great social movement, but we do know that at least literally, when you look at literature, Achara texts of the Tantras, their woman-goddess equation is very, very strong.
Great.
And it manifests.
No, I think that's a wonderful insight you've given to us. I'm sure people on the stage know about it.
Oh, they know.
I think it's,
they know everything.
Yes. So shall we move on to the next? You were to ask.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have to leave. We'll continue with our discussions.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
One thing I want to say about Radha is that Radha is older than Krishna, first of all. But why does she have to be invented? The question of why did we do that? Basically Radha originally comes from the south. The Shilapadikaram mentions something like Radha, and then the Bhakti movement comes from the south of India to the north, and that is when in Orissa, Jayadev picks it up and writes Gildu it. So it's a very interesting thing that Radha comes from almost nowhere, 1,000 years after Mahabharata, more than 1,000 years after Mahabharata, and she just invented.
I will answer. Please comment. Radha's counterpart, Pinnai or Nepinnai, it is in south and it is found Shilapadikaram in other texts also. But she could not become or did not become as popular as, and Radha is popular only in North India and in East India, not in South India. In South India, it is Rukmani who is more popular than Radha. In Dwarka also, where Krishna was king of Dwarka, the temple of Rukmani, Radha is there. But just as a subordinate deity, it is Rukmani who is there. And but when Krishna, when the legends were attached to Krishna that he became a king, he was married to Rukmani and Satyabhama, there were 1,600 wives. And Radha was associated with Krishna even before he became a king. Even before he went to Mathura and never came back to Gokul. So Radha was always associated. Radha is the Ahladini Shakti. Unfortunately, Rukmani could not become as popular as Radha because lot of people, because Vaishnavism accepted Radha, and the Radha of Vaishnavism lost her innocence once she became part of Vaishnavism. And was so much attached to Krishna when he was an ordinary gop. And like Kishwar, you talked about Sita. Sita is the only female. Sita is a very much misunderstood character. A demure and this and that, because we were brought up in the serials of Ramananda Sagar where Sita is always crying. Sita had the guts of crossing Lakshman Rekha, which very few women could cross even now. Drawn by their husband or their brother.
Can I say, Lakshman?
And one more thing we talk about.
But it's not involving. It's not involving.
And
it's in Tulsidas.
No. Tulsidas even before, even in South Indian also, I think in Kamban Ramayana we find Lakshman Rekha. So it's not that birth to her sons. She gave birth to her sons in a never told them the name, or did they know the names of their father? When Mahatma Gandhi said that all modern women should take a lesson from Sita.
The interesting thing about her is, she is born with we don't know who her mother was or who her father was. she's an abandoned child. But after Ram is back as a king, before giving birth to her.
Can we give the mic then? Thank you.
Firstly, I would like to congratulate the authors for such a beautiful work, and I'm really intrigued by the title of the book, Birthing the Goddess. Birthing is underlined. I would also like to congratulate the author. Incidentally, he also happens to be, the publisher also happens to be my publisher. He published my book, so I want to congratulate Vikasji. And Seema, because I am a proud owner of one of her artworks. And Professor Anamika Roy, because I know her from the day she was a student. And how she has evolved herself into a goddess. When you go to the university, you see how students worship her really, and into her academics. Now, I don't have a question, but it's a very basic thing I would like to know, that when is the first manifestation of Radha we find in the stone? A. B. Which are the, like Bhagavad Puran doesn't have the mention. So when do we find the mention of Radha in the literary sources? And the saga of Radha, as you said, is not only confined to North India and East India, but also in Northeast India, because I was there and I've seen the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's influence then and the Vallabhas.
In Assam also.
Yeah, so in spite of Kuki and Meitei having their own traditions, the Govind Dev temple is there and Radha is very much venerated there. So these are my two queries, that first manifestation in the stone when we find a representation, and which would be the references in the scriptures when we find Radha. And a question to Nilima ji subsequently, that you said that gods created goddesses. So I feel that goddesses were manifested as they were Ardhanarishwar. So men at some point of time must have felt that they need to use their energy separately, like Nanda Devi, Jwala Devi. We have the manifested goddesses. So that's one thing I would like to know. But I must congratulate, it's a good work.
Thank you, Dr. Neeraj. Your first question, the first manifestation or the earliest manifestation of Radha in stone, unfortunately it is very late. I think in 8th, 9th century CE we do find in sculpture. This is the case with inscriptions, only 3 epigraphical references we find of Radha. So far as the scriptures are concerned, in the Gatha Saptashati, they say that there's a couplet that Krishna is taking out the dust from Radha's eyes, which are there because of the paws of cows. But like all the texts, Sanskrit texts especially, whether it is an interpolation or whether it was really there in the 1st century CE, it's doubtful. Only one Radha. In Bhagavad Puran, there is no Radha. There is a verse, Anaya Radhito. And a lot of Pandits say that Anaya Radhito is Radha. Radha is there because Anaya, it is said Anaya Radhito. But that is not Radha. Radha is not there because Bhagavad Puran. And there is no need of a Shakti. Like Vidyanivasa Mishra says that Radha Tattva is always there, essence of Radha is always there in the Bhagavad Puran. Radha is not, had Radha been there, Krishna would have lost his significance. And in Vaishnavism, one of the earliest Puranas of Vaishnavism, Bhagavad, there's no need of Shakti. That's why Radha, but an absent Radha is always there. You can feel Radha. Because most of the scholars, the problem with us that I'm a historian and work on the literature. So as a historian, I seek Radha in the Bhagavad Puran. Where is Radha? And that absent Radha is all. There's a most favorite gopi in the Bhagavad Puran, and they say that is Radha, the most favorite gopi. Name is not Anya other than, like Professor Desai said that in South, in Nipannai or Pinnai, which is there in Shilapitikaram. So, very similar episode. There is also that Pinnai is the favorite of God, And here there's a favorite gopi. And so far as Bhakti movement, like Professor Desai is said, in the Bhakti movement, there's a Krishna Bhakti is there, there's eroticism also. Like Professor Baba is here, that they couldn't discriminate or differentiate female bhaktas. They were not very literate. So the dividing line is very blurred in eroticism and devotion.
Okay, can we just move on to the next part of her question? Yeah.
I don't want to be facetious here, but I'm not an expert on Radha. But I just think I'll raise for illicit love where Radha and Krishna is concerned. And it's very, very appealing. And isn't it? So we have this very strong erotic trend within us. And how much ever you might try to justify. When I have tried to talk to people when I've gone travel and I said, what is this Radha? But the fact remains that they had a beautiful love affair. And we know the kind of excitement that gets aroused when it is anything to do with illicit or illegitimate love. And I think that also has a very big part to play. But she has all the history. How is Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma going to be important in Shakta religion? Shakta religion, where we know only the female is worshipped. This is how they get their importance. That we have limb by limb, whether it's her hair, her eyebrows, her eyes, we have given one by one things to her. Then we have given her all her shringar, every piece of jewelry, every piece of clothing, everything we've given her. And then she gets created. From our tejas, our collective tejas, they get so angry when they find that the world is being destroyed by Mahishasur, that they get the tejas, the fire comes out of them, and it's from that fire that this divinity gets created. So it's all manufactured to make us feel that the males have created the goddess. I didn't say that.
One thing I would like to say about this illicit affair, in none of the texts, whether secular, whether religious, love affair of Krishna and Radha has been condemned or called illicit. We now see it from that Victorian lens and we call it illicit affair. We condemn our sculptures of Khajuraho and Konark because now we see it from other lens. No one has called that it is an illicit affair.
Well, I don't think we can actually. They were in love, like you said. Let's leave it at that. Whether they were
in the Brahma Puran, they got married in Vrindavan.
Very modern, very modern.
Thank you,
Would you like to? I think.
Any other questions?
Well, I would like to extend my gratitude and congratulations to you all. You just don't enlighten us about very important topic. As we know that Radha was as a gopi and very fascinating women, we always want to become like Radha. But you brought our attention towards Radha was not gopi only, she was a goddess. And as you said that she was created by the literature. And most of the Purans and Purans writing started from 5th century onwards, we know that. So my question is that, ma'am, what is difference between Purans of Radha and Purans of Geet Govind? This is the first question. And the second question is, ma'am, this period has witnessed debatable. As we know that this is great debate among the historians to take the women condition at that time, because we know that 10th century onwards foreign invasion has started and women's position was not well sound in some part of India, not entire India. So I just want to that, what was the societal temperament which pushed Jayadev to write Geet Govind?
Or maybe you can discuss with her.
Yes.
You can discuss with her
later on.
Because
she's actually answered most of this.
Sorry.
It's already 8. If there is any other quick question.
I'm just wondering, how do you actually factor in things like the Manav Graha Sutra and the Revati Sukta in that, where goddesses, fierce goddesses like Kuhu and Lakshmi or Jeshta or even Jataharni and other Balagrahas are being invoked and how these are also feeding into a particular kind of goddess cult that is developing. The other question that I have for you is that how is it that if does the tantric element of Radha at some point disappear? Because, or if it does continue as you do have a Radha Tantra, that you have the Taras, and you have the fierce goddesses like the Chamunda and so on and so forth that are being sculpted. But in the early medieval and the medieval period, we do not have a tantric Radha being sculpted at all. So what happens to the tantric Radha, if anything does? Because I'm very curious. I just want to know what happened to her in terms of visuality.
Professor Khanna is not here. She said that in Krishna Yama there's tantric Radha, the tantric rituals, but nowhere. I have gone through only these two scriptures. Nowhere there's any provision of carving Radha, because tantricism is very mysterious. Even if you want to worship a goddess, supposing you want to worship Pitambara, you should not carve Pitambara, you should carve Baglamukhi. Only the worshipper will know that he is worshipping Baglamukhi and not Pitambara. Perhaps same is the case with Radha. Nowhere there is any provision how a sculpture of Radha should be. Mantras are there, hymns are there, and most of them are yugal, couple. But nowhere there is any. Even in the Agni Puran, where we find how Lakshmi should be carved, Durga should be carved, but nowhere, and Agni Puran is of 10th century CE, but nowhere it is how Radha should be carved. So, Radha remains in literature, Radha remains very popular among the commoners, among the elite, but like I said, we find very few, even non-tantric sculptures, very few. And 2 or 3 or 4, some terracotta sculptures we do find from Bengal, most of them with Krishna. But Radha in Tantricism, how to carve and how to worship Radha, we are yet to find.
So, I'm finishing. Seema, all those traditions are continuing everywhere. And just the fact that we look at Alakshmi when we put the mirchi and the nimbu outside our dukans, so that Alakshmi comes and she eats them and she goes away because she only likes nimbu and mirchi. So there is this, it's all flourishing everywhere. All of them, Jeshta and Namakam, I mean, we know. I'm only talking about that one Brahminical text, but these are all, even in the Indus Valley civilization, we have images of someone who looks like Jeshta. So the pretty ones and then the ugly ones and all that, the ugly sister, the ugly twin sister, there's a lot over there. We can talk about that.
And who are malevolent, who are not malevolent, all Jat Harani and all, they all are in Saiti Kalpasutra.
It's very exciting.
I know, but
yeah, so now I think we will close the session, and I would like to invite Shruti Veena Vishwanath to invoke the goddess, and whoever would like to get the book signed, we are right here. We will step down and we will be. We're just going to start. I have to
So Shruti Veena Vishwanath, she sings the song of love and rebellion, of bhakti movement, and today she is invoking the goddess in various languages, in Bangla, Marathi, then in North American indigenous language, into various forms of Marathi music primarily, Marathi folk music, and a lot of people sing it. Primarily it was to invoke gods and goddesses, specifically the goddess actually, primarily the goddess.
Tulsa Bhavani, Ambe, and Renuka. These are the three goddesses from, whose lineages this tradition starts. But you end up invoking every god and goddess. So the last few lines of this particular Gondhal, which I learned when I was about Himmat's age over here, when I was about 8. It says that धरती माता आकाश पिता राहिल्या सायल्या भक्तांच्या गणात 33 कोटी देवा गोंधळाला यावं. So I invite not just all of the goddesses who have come in the preceding paragraphs, but I invite the goddess of the earth, Mother Earth, the Father Sky, and everyone else who is remaining, who I may have forgotten, and all 33 crore gods and goddesses. I invoke everyone into this Gondhal, anyone who I might have forgotten. And a Gondhal it's not a one-way street. Usually it's performed by a troupe of hereditary practitioners. I am not a hereditary practitioner, as I said, but I did learn this particular one very early on. I would love for you all to sing one word, if you feel comfortable, and that is Uday. Uday, Uday, Uday. And that means rise, rise, rise.
गोंधळाला यावं तुम्ही गोंधळाला यावं गोंधळाला यावं तुम्ही गोंधळाला यावं आई
Of America, but it comes from the indigenous communities there. And it's a song that was written by a group called Ulali, because the interesting thing is that the language of Tutelo, which is one of the two languages that is used in this song, the last known speaker of it passed away in the 1990s. But from there was a conscious movement to bring back the language and revive back the language. So this is, and I feel very strongly about something like that. It comes from a women's group called Ulali, and the words go something like this. We have been here a long time, but stand tall, and never forget who you are. Constantly hear that sound. Stand tall and never forget who you are. Try an experiment here this evening. Would that be okay, Seema? Okay, so the experiment goes like this. You'll have to listen to hear what the experiment really is. And that is that women's singing has never been like this. It's never been a solo thing where one person sits on stage and sings. It has always been the music of communities. It's been the music of multiple voices, whichever tradition you look at in the world. So it really feels incomplete if I only hear myself. It feels good. I mean, I am a performer, but it does feel incomplete for the occasion. So I wonder if when I sing the AIAs, just see if you find yourself humming. It could be whatever. It may not make sense, but see if we can just create a little pool of collective sound here tonight. Does that make? Can we try that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just with the AIAs, okay? Yeah, just with the AIAs. You can, yeah, if it's really soft, okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Nagayat Yamuni Wajit se Nagayat Yamuni Wajit se Nagayat Yamuni Wajit se
And she says that you're a high mountain, you're the snow. Let them condemn, let them swear. For you know that you have to step into the Maidan. Get naked now and step into the Devran. Get naked now and step into the Maidan. And you can dance for this because we have to be in the Maidan. So you can dance with any of the songs really. You don't need my today with something that might feel a little strange, because in Bengal and in the Vaishnav Baul traditions, it's sung as a prabhati, as the first thing in the morning. And now we're singing it at possibly 8:30 in the night. But I hope you'll bear with me, because the words go like this. It says, Rai jago go, oh wake up Radhe. And from what I've learned from my teachers, who include Uttam Das and Shyam Sundar Das Baul, it's not the Radha outside of us, it's the Radha within us, within each person and each spirit. And so for me, this is a call to wake up the feminine within us. And so I hope you'll, there are some of you in the room who know this song, but I hope you will sing along and humor me as I sing a Prabhati to close this evening.
Rai jago go, jago shame mona mohini, binodini ebar rai jago go, jago shame mona mohini, binodini. চেয়ে দেখো আর তো নিশি নাই, জয় রাধে। চেয়ে দেখো আর তো নিশি নাই, জয় রাধে। জাগো স্বামী মন মোহিনী বিনোদিনী, স্বামী মন মোহিনী বিনোদিনী। ভ্রমর বসে ফুলে ফুলে The poet says it's no longer night. If you just look, you'll hear. If you just see, you'll see the buzzing of the bees. You'll see the coils flitting from tree to tree, and you'll know it's no longer the darkness of night. Throughout the old flowers, and let's go worship the Jugal Charan, which the panelists spoke about today. বাসি পুষ্প বাইরে ফেলে চলো গলায় পুষ্প নিতে শ্যামে মনমোহিনী বিনোদিনী শ্যামে রঙে অঙ্গ দিয়া intertwined with sham, you sleep there peacefully, with not a care for the ways of the world. There's no shame left anymore. Loko lajja bhoy ki tomar naay o joyo radhe. Loko lajja bhoy ki tomar naay o joyo radhe. শ্যামে মনমোহিনী বিনোদিনী এবার গাই জাগো জাগো শ্যামে মনমোহিনী বিনোদিনী last verse goes something like this, and that's the intention I'd like to set out here, with gratitude to all of you for listening, with immense gratitude to the 5 authors and the panelists and the guest of honor tonight. Well, if you hear closely, you'll see that all of the plants and the flowers in Vrindavan are whispering, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And yet, we lie in slumber in this human form. Vrindavane, Torulata,
Really grateful to you for the evening, and I think you ended it so beautifully. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you for being here. And your plant is here with me.
Yes.
Should I get it? Shruti and me, and we are a lot of us. We meet every day morning on Zoom from 9 to 10 every day since COVID happened, and this has been the blessing, I think the biggest blessing that we have had. Thank you so much, Shruti. She started this community, and we are a part of that community. Thanks a lot. Thank you.